So the Book of Boba Fett has now come to a close with Chapter 7. A lot of Star Wars fans around the world, I will admit, have been very unhappy with the final chapter by director Robert Rodriguez and exactly how he really handled the season's end. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way, guys, I am on Twitter at Mike01 if you guys want to go ahead and give me a follow on there. I do post a couple of entertaining things from time to time and really make sure to interact with you guys further. So what's really exciting right now has everything to do with Gina Carano and her return. That's all planned and set and ready for The Mandalorian Season 4 between both Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. We already know that there's been a lot of work behind the scenes with multiple new Star Wars shows, and Mando Season 4, we talked about this before in the past, it's not going to be called Season 4, quote-unquote. It's going to have its own title in a sense. It could be something around the lines of The Mandalorian, something to do with Mandalore as a subtitle, for all we know. Now, on top of all of this, what's really exciting is, of course, everything to do with actress Gina Carano. Now, specifically, given that Star Wars Ahsoka is set to begin filming by this April, both Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are beginning to get prepared to announce all of their new Star Wars shows at Celebration this year. It's described, however, that recently actress Gina Carano has been in more meetings with both Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni about her return into the Star Wars universe. Now, it's described that she is planned to make her official return in The Mandalorian Season 4 for 2023, and both Jon and Dave already have big plans for her character in the series. One big scene that has already been storyboarded and is being finalized for the script is said to involve Cara Dune teaming up with both Ahsoka Tano and Sabine Wren for a very surprising scene that will also involve Luke Skywalker making a surprise appearance to go up against a series of Inquisitor-like characters that will face against them. These characters are said to be sided with Grand Admiral Thrawn and will be protecting a very large base on a world that looks near similar to Pilio from the Battlefront video game. This scene is described to involve both Luke and Ahsoka Tano to share a couple of lines of dialogue together before they split up and face Thrawn. For Mando Season 4, Jon and Dave will be using CG Luke Skywalker again for the series in order to focus more on developing this technology. Cara Dune is set to use a special new type of weapon. This weapon is described to be a turret-like weapon mounted on top of a swivel system as she takes down Thrawn's bodyguards one by one. All of this is, of course, storyboarded by Favreau and Filoni and will make its way into the 4th season. The scene also involves a moment where Favreau and Filoni plan to both, of course, give Cara Dune and Luke Skywalker a moment to exchange a couple lines of dialogue that actually are going to involve General Leia Organa and talking about his sister. So, the thing about that's really interesting is that they are going to be making references to General Leia Organa in The Mandalorian Season 4, so just keep that in mind. Now, moving past this, alright, it's described to be the perfect moment to name drop Leia, as Leia is described to do something off-screen for our heroes by calling in backup rebel troops that actually will aid Ahsoka, Luke, Cara, and Sabine. The entirety of this scene, with of course Gina Carano as Cara Dune, is described to involve tons of new stunts that will allow Gina to do her own, and it's something that Disney is very excited to do, of course, for Mando Season 4. Gina was in the talks about this big battle for Mando Season 4 for the longest time with both Favreau and Filoni, and has been very excited to step back into the role. Without surprise, Kathleen Kennedy is described to have tons of issues with all of this, and is trying to prevent Gina from coming back into The Mandalorian. Kathleen Kennedy even initiated a meeting with Disney's higher-ups not so long ago in an attempt to convince them that this will only anger fans that were offended by her social media posts on Twitter. The scene is best described to at least feature new types of battle droids that were recovered from the prequel trilogy era and reformed. So once again, you can see how they're making a lot of these prequel trilogy references. As of now, Gina Carano has been very secretive about her talks with Favreau and Filoni and is trying to make it not so obvious that she planned her return in Mando Season 4 with Jon and Dave. Gina is said to also get a brand new design in the series with a new set of armor and a brand new hairstyle that both Jon and Dave have planned for her. Disney CEO Bob Chapek is said to have had many arguments with Kathleen Kennedy about her return in The Mandalorian Season 4 for the past 4 to 5 months, as these discussions were happening behind the scenes. Chapek knows that this will please many fans and that they are even planning to bring back Cara Dune merchandise back onto store shelves to please customers. However, in a recent interview with Gina Carano, she went on to say this about her return to Star Wars, as she acted very vague about her return, stating, "One thing I can say is that I am still talking with John and Dave. They are such wonderful people and caring people, and everyone always keeps asking me if I would come back if given the opportunity. All I can say to that is sit tight and let everything play out for a little while." Gina, of course, shying away from the real question about her return in Mando Season 4, which is also set to introduce characters like Kyle Katarn and even Mara Jade as a side character in the show for Luke Skywalker's character to develop. In fact, Gina recently revealed that Favreau originally wanted a scene for both Cara and Luke in Mando Season 2, and that it was all tested around with and never made it to the finalized version, which, by the way, is very unfortunate. Another scene that has been storyboarded for Gina Carano for the 4th season involves her making some form of an inspirational speech with tons of rebels surrounding her in a circular fashion. This scene is described to be, of course, before the second battle against Thrawn and his bodyguards, and when they begin fighting. Favreau is actually trying to make Thrawn essentially the Star Wars version of Thanos, with making a brief appearance first in Mando Season 3, then having a full role in the Ahsoka series, and more of his story to be explored in Mando Season 4. Alright, so you can see what they're doing there with Grand Admiral Thrawn. They're building up to him, just like Marvel did with Thanos. They want to do the same exact kind of layout, and you know what, I kind of respect that. So, both John and Dave are very excited about using Thrawn in the show, and especially using Cara Dune as one of the main fighters in the big battle against Thrawn and his army. At this point in time, the storyboards are finalized and ready to be implemented into the story, where Cara Dune is described to also have more scenes in comparison to both Season 1 and 2 in order to respect the character, and will be used as a way to create many references about Leia Organa in the series. Once again, it's very much nice to see that John and Dave are going to be dropping a lot of references to Leia, Luke Skywalker's sister, in The Mandalorian Season 4. Kind of reminds you of what they did in Chapter 6 of Boba, where they name-dropped indirectly Anakin Skywalker, where Ahsoka Tano says, "So much like your father." Obvious, you know, great reference to Anakin Skywalker. So, moving on from that, alright, however, it's still unclear if Leia is planned to show up in Season 4 or not. It is, however, something that John and Dave want to do eventually in the Mandoverse, to explore her in this post-Return of the Jedi era. Gina Carano is also said to reveal more about her time at Lucasfilm before she was fired in a new interview that will happen this April. However, it's still unclear as to exactly who is going to be interviewing Gina Carano, where she unveils more about her experience, mostly bad experiences, over at Lucasfilm. So, like I say, this is a very interesting development with all the storyboards that are now being completed by John and Dave prior to finalizing everything for the script, and essentially getting ready to begin filming sometime by the end of this year into early 2023. Guys, I've said this time and time again, and it really is something that I really always mention, is that it's probably the best time to be alive right now if you're really into Star Wars. I know that the Book of Boba Fett was a little on and off, but we have a lot coming our way for Obi-Wan Kenobi. We have a lot for Star Wars Andor, The Bad Batch Season 2, Mando Season 3, the Ahsoka series. I mean, they're going to be announcing more things at Celebration. There's a lot of things in the pipeline that are really going to be oriented with both non-Force related users and Force related users, to kind of create that balance between what fans want. And I kind of like that. I kind of like how they're treating it like that. So overall, guys, you know, drop a comment below. Let me know about all this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.